Okay, 3 o'clock rock. Jay Fidel here, and ThinkTech Asia today. We like to check in once in a while with Johnson Choi, the president of the Hong Kong, China, Hawaii Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the show, Johnson.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, we want to get current on what's going on in China and the two dragons. That's why we call this show China and the Two Dragons. Maybe you could explain to our listeners what in the world we mean by China and the Two Dragons.
Well, I don't have to explain China, but there used to have four dragons: South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And why I say the two dragons is because I've been to the two dragons, Hong Kong and Taiwan, last 3 months, and interesting happening over there.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about it. Let's break it down.
Okay.
First, Hong Kong. I guess we're talking about the situation in Hong Kong and the relationship of Hong Kong with China.
Depends on what sector you're talking about and also the what age group. The 40 and above are quite satisfied with the current status quo and current relations with China. It's the younger generation, the 90s, after the 90s. They are more disconnected.
The millennials you're talking about.
Because somehow after the 1997 changeover, the education on the history side of China become a option school subject. It's just like you don't study American history in high school as an option. Yeah. So when you grow, half of the people have no clue what American history is. Yeah. That's the problem right now.
It's a problem here too.
Well, at least you study American history, whether they really pay attention or not, but it's a mandatory subject.
Yeah.
But Hong Kong is no longer.
So they don't study it.
So half the people don't study it. So the half the people have no clue about the history of China and Hong Kong. So they have hard time making connections.
So how does that play out? What happens if you don't study it and the younger generation in Hong Kong doesn't understand the historical relationship?
Historical relationship, because I went through, China was very, very poor. And now China is probably doing better than Hong Kong. I mean, the difference is the old day, the Hong Kong people felt they are more superior, with more money, with more financial savvy. I still remember the old day when we go to China, we have to treat them dinner or lunch in the late 70s when they start open up. Yeah. But starting in the late 80s, I cannot afford to treat the people in China dinner because they spend $300-400 per head on the meal.
And the bourgeoisie, huh?
And of course, a lot of time when you have the government element at that time, a lot of those are almost like the Japan situation, the corporation picking up the tab. So if you go, you bring the governor, you can bring the mayor, they have an excuse to spend and to drink.
That's right.
Yeah, but things has changed. Things has changed for the better, I would say.
Yeah, how is it now?
Well, after Xi Jinping became president, and he tried to crack down on the corruption side. I mean, I see where distinguished change this trip to China. Visited 3 cities by invitation of the city government. 3 cities in basically 5 days. And you will see over lunchtime, there's no alcohol to be served. In fact, it's forbidden.
It's a sign of corruption.
Well, at least they not drink during work time. Because the old day you can drink anytime when you have an outside guest. It's an excuse.
That's over.
And you'll find out that most of the meal is done in the government building, where they have a nicer cafeteria or dining room area.
Rather than fancy restaurants.
It's a fancy restaurant. Instead of whining and dining you. And in fact, they don't want to be seen going in and out of the 5-star hotels.
They get in trouble.
People take pictures and stuff like that, and then they get into troubles. Yes.
Yeah. That's the thing in China, you know, there are people who like turn you in. This is not so good. And the government has police everywhere, take your picture, turn you in. I mean, is that what's happening?
I would say most, that depends on who you talk to. I mean, to me, it's good that people turn in what we call the corrupt. You know, in America, I mean, when we used to have a lot of investigating reporting, right? You go after corrupt people, right? You catch the naked commission guy in the Korean bar, you take the picture, but it don't happen here anymore, right?
Yeah.
So in China, they will have the people to report the corruption by taking picture because there are almost like 700 mobile phones in China.
Yeah.
So they basically just shop and then shoot your picture up.
So how does that work? I mean, I'm so interested in this, you know, because Xi Jinping is really cracking down, maybe too hard in many ways. People really don't like him much. But so we know that the Chinese government wants to stamp out corruption. I know that's a policy. We know that it would be happy to have any kind of information, documentation showing that there's corruption, I guess. So I'm an ordinary fellow, and I'm walking down the street, and I see something that where I think some officials are, you know, not doing the right thing. So I take out my cell phone, and I have my picture. I'm an ordinary guy now. I'm just an ordinary person. Am I motivated to actually send this into the China? Aren't I exposing myself if I send it in? I mean, I don't want to get on their radar. I want to be, you know, far away from all of that. I don't want anybody to be mad at me. Why would I send that picture in?
So far, there's no negative reporting, including the people that work in China. They're Americans, both Caucasian and Chinese and Japanese. So far, they said the people they talked to who sent in or reported the corrupt government official, there was no consequences against them. And those are basically a toll-free number.
It's like a
website.
whistleblower. A toll-free number, huh?
Yeah, toll-free number. And I think they are keeping the word. I mean, you report. Of course, you report it, and if it's not an issue, I mean, you'll be clean. But usually they catching those people in very compromising situation. Have two women in the arm, or worse, sometimes you get naked pictures in the hotel room. I mean, stuff like that. Then tough luck.
Self-explanatory.
So it's. And a lot of time we talk to people in China, you know, a lot of time it's the mistress that turn over the corrupt government official. You remember if you want to dump your mistress?
Yeah, well, you know,
so
you better be nice to your mistress or else
stay away from all this, you know, mumbo-jumbo stuff. I mean, just do your job. I mean, I think you'll be okay.
So I guess what's happening then is the whistleblower thing is alive and well.
Right.
And if you have information, you can send it in to a website or an 800 number, whatever, and with impunity. You're not going to get hurt, probably. And the government will do something about it. And if you take all that together, and what you get is a real effort to stamp out corruption. I mean, if the government is taking action, prosecuting these guys who it can show have been involved or believes have been involved in corruption, then there's going to be less corruption. Isn't that true?
Eventually, you probably have to follow some kind of like a Hong Kong model, because prior to 72, Hong Kong is very corrupt. I mean, if you want to have a house fire, you have to pay the firefighter before they will put out the fire.
That's 19th
But after
century.
72, you have the ICAC, Independent Commission Against Corruption.
Yeah.
But you have the stick and you have no carrot, it's not working. And what happened is the Hong Kong government also raised the civil servants' pay and the benefit above anybody. So you get the best pay. So, and you...
This is good.
That's good.
Nobody will touch you that way.
Right now, the problem with China is there's this disparity in terms of pay and power.
Yeah.
See, imagine you get paid $2,000 a month, but you can approve project up to $100 to $200 million, right?
Yeah.
Without I, as a government official, asking for money, someone like you, Jay, will say, hey, it's a lot of money, right? Why don't we just spread the wealth? I mean, sometimes people get tempted to do the bad things.
Well, if you're getting paid $2,000 a month, and you can make
$100
millions and millions,
But if I get paid,
it's an easy solution there, if you can get away with it. So you know, the question is, how high is the compensation now, so they're not tempted? I mean, has it gone really to a level where they're not going to be tempted to take the big money in corruption?
Well, if you use Hong Kong as a business model, they still have a long way to go. And of course, you also have a lot of government employees that may not be needed, but being kept on the payroll. It's almost like the Xi Jinping is trying to cut down 300,000 in military personnel. I mean, because now you want a leaner government, you know, with the technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But China is a big country. You know, if you try to do something in Hawaii, sometimes you feel we have a hard time already.
Yeah.
This is such a small state.
Yeah, everybody can see a goldfish bowl.
You know, so it's easy to criticize, easy to complain.
Yeah.
But if I ask Jay or I to do it, I probably have the same hard time.
Yeah.
So give them some time. They're working on it.
Well, but it's actually, I mean, in a left-handed way, although it sounds scary for the guy who, is arguably corrupt, and scary also to some extent for the guy who wants to turn him in, be a whistleblower. But over time, I think it's the right direction, isn't it? Ultimately to take this out of the culture, because it was pretty rampant a few years ago, as you said.
That's a very good example. I still remember, we've been doing trade mission between Hawaii and God knows how many states in the mainland. I still remember the old days when I am the mayor of a city and my daughter is going to HPU. Then I will knock on the door and say, well, can we have a sister relationship? So then the mayor of that city can come to Hawaii frequently, using that excuse. Now,
Sure.
if your daughter is going to school in America, you are banned from traveling to America. You don't even have excuse.
There's a bit of an overreaction there.
Well, if your daughter go to Britain, you can come to America, but
Okay.
not go to Britain.
You want to send your daughter to a place where you don't want to travel to?
Well, sometimes people are very creative, right? So I know it's not one size fit all, but sometimes with hundreds of thousands of government officials, sometimes it's easier way to do is to make it simple.
Yeah.
There's no misunderstanding.
Well, right.
Right?
It's very clear.
Very clear. Your daughter go to Hawaii,
There's no gray area
you
here at
cannot
all.
go to Hawaii.
Okay, I mean, I buy that.
So you don't want to have a trade
That's
relationship.
completely different than the way it was, though.
It's really 180-degree change.
Now, what about Xi Jinping? I mean, he's been pretty tough. He's been pretty tough domestically. I keep hearing that people really think he's too tough. And maybe corruption is you can do anti-corruption, but sometimes you use the notion of stamping out corruption in order to stamp out your political enemies. You call everyone you don't like corrupt, and then you squash them and have them prosecuted and executed and all that. What's the sense about Xi Jinping on a domestic basis?
Without commenting on Xi Jinping directly, I study Chinese history, and every dynasty always have power struggle. Qing dynasty, Ming dynasty, the Tang dynasty, everybody have the gang, the little clique, Even in Hawaii state government, you have that little, buddy system, right? Are you mine or not?
Sure.
So China is such a big country, and I think what Xi Jinping did was he tried to consolidate the power, because it's very difficult. I can tell Jay what to do, but you turn around, you may just give me a finger and say, hey, how will you? You don't have the power to enforce it. But when you have the carrot and the stick, and if J.S. Johnson do you have the carrot and the stick, I better listen.
That's consolidation.
Because there are consequences.
Yeah, really.
Right?
What about the the rural areas to the west? It used to be very hard for Beijing to control them, and there were a lot of officials that were doing bad things, but a lot of people were protesting too. Is that being resolved now?
I'm glad you asked me this question, because this time when I visited China 3 weeks ago, I went to the third-tier city. Third tier, not even second. Hangzhou.
Small, you mean?
Small with 2 to 3 million people.
That's small.
That's small.
That's 3 times the size of a
Very
Wow.
good example. One of the cities we visited was about 200 miles outside of Shanghai. It's called Wujin. It's almost the same distance from Shanghai to Hangzhou. I don't know whether you've been to
Yeah,
Hangzhou.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
the lake, right?
Yeah.
High-speed train from Shanghai to Wujin is 50 minutes. The house selling in Shanghai is about 50,000 RMB per square meter. At Wujin, it's 1/10 the price. It's almost like instead of living in Diamond Head, I buy a house in Copper Lake. But the problem is you have to fight the traffic. But if I live in Wujin, I have to go to Shanghai, it's only 15 minutes. High-speed train. It's very nice and very comfortable train. I was in the train.
Yeah.
Smooth, no bump.
This is the speed train they
Speed
built.
train, high-speed train.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say with the infrastructure, China is trying to connecting the first, second, third, or fourth tier city is really doing a good job to actually those high-speed trains are actually competing with the airlines right now, because you don't have to go through all
They're convenient.
the convenience.
Yeah, and they're nice, they're comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah, also the high-speed train has to match your ID with the train ticket. So you cannot say at the Chinese New Year you buy a whole bunch of tickets and then you sell 5 times. No, that game is gone. That game is gone. No more.
It's really fabulous. They did all this in 5 years or
It's
less.
5 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Is this a Xi Jinping thing, or was it a Hu
I
Jintao
think-
thing?
I think it was started around the transition period. I mean, they have to, because every year when they have the spring break, when the people have to go home, they find out they have no, they sold out the ticket, and then you see people standing outside selling the ticket 5 times the face value. Then sometimes China is too creative. So we want to be too creative, we make it more structural.
We're going to take a break, Johnson.
Okay.
When we come back, I'd like to ask you how real estate is doing. You mentioned, this smaller city, as the real estate price is 1/10 of Shanghai, was it? And the question is, how does that equalize? Wouldn't I go down there and buy something right now? When we come back, I'd like your answer.
Okay.
That's Johnson Choi, the president of the Hong Kong, China, Hawaii Chamber of Commerce, here on ThinkTech Asia. And we're getting updated here on China and the two dragons. We only talked about one so far. We're not finished. We'll be right back.
Aloha, this is Maria Mera, and I'm here to invite you to my bilingual show, Viva Hawaii on ThinkTech Hawaii, every other Monday at 3 p.m. We're here to inform, motivate, and entertain you. Join us. Hola, soy María Mera y estoy aquí para invitaros a mi show bilingüe Viva Hawaii en ThinkTech Hawaii cada 2 lunes a las 3 de la tarde. Estamos aquí para informaros, motivaros y entreteneros. Apuntaros.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen, host of Likeable Science on ThinkTech Hawaii. Come join us every Friday at 2 p.m. when I interview interesting scientists about what they do, why they do it, and why we should all care about it. It's a lot of fun to see. We hear, and you can learn interesting stuff. You'll hear all kinds of fascinating science, and we know you'll have a great time. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. My name is Anu Hittel, and I host a show, Climate Change Beyond Outrage. In it, we go beyond outrage to look at solutions to climate problems facing people, nations, and the world. Join me every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Hawaii Standard Time. See you then.
Exploring Everything with Johnson Choi, the president of the Hong Kong, China, Hawaii Chamber of Commerce, where we're looking at China and the two dragons. One of them, of course, is Hong Kong. I want to go back to that juxtaposition you described about the cost of real property in Shanghai versus a town 15 minutes away on the fast train, 1/10. Why wouldn't I buy that? Why wouldn't I, as a China resident or even a foreign investor, gaijin? What? No, that's Japanese. Kuai-lo. Why wouldn't I go buy that property so cheap?
The Chinese way of doing the zoning is not like in America, in Hawaii, where you residential zoning, right? So you buy there, you are safe that not going to have a warehouse or a garbage plant next to you, right? China, sometimes you have to know where you pick to buy your stuff, okay? So you don't want to buy in a bad neighborhood, okay? And the other thing is you have to pick, just like Hawaii, the right developer to do it. So make sure that the building doesn't collapse when there's an earthquake hit like that. And also, for foreigner, you cannot finance it. I mean, you basically have to pay cash. But the condo is like 60 to 80,000 US, so you can mortgage your house here and buy one.
Really, and go there all the time.
And the maintenance fee for a 2-bedroom is like $400 a year. I mean, you can basically buy.
So why aren't people snapping that up?
The big city, unfortunately, most of the speculation are in the big city. The Shanghai, the Beijing, the Shenzhen, which is the Silicon Valley of China. Those are the big city that the people like to go to. Including a lot of investors from China. They're looking for big city like Shanghai, San Francisco, New York, and some in Hawaii.
Where the action is. They want to be where the action
depends
is.
on the age group. I mean, if you are a businessman, you are still in a very active part of the life. They kind of, if they want to buy 3 houses, apartment in the United States, they will buy one in Hawaii. But if they only buy one, they probably pick either San Francisco or New York or even Seattle.
Yeah.
Because you have more direct flight going to Asia.
Yeah.
And you have more dynamic business structure over there.
So if I wanted to buy, say, a condo, what was the name of that small city again?
Wuzhen.
Wuzhen. Could I buy it? Could I just dance over there? I mean, I'd probably want to get somebody, an agent maybe, to look at it for me, make sure it's decent property and there's no problems. But once that be the case, can I just buy it in my own name?
You can. In fact, we have a member, there are attorney based in Shanghai. I mean,
need an attorney.
well, if you want a second opinion, I think you want to talk to an attorney.
Just to be sure
Right,
about the
that's right.
title and all the
Yeah.
rules, whatever.
And we have members that are attorney that the
Yeah.
party can talk to without charging you a fee. I mean,
Yeah,
you just,
But you know what I get though, Johnson, is that while the Chinese are coming to the US and elsewhere buying all kinds of properties, I mean, they make the Japanese wave of the 80s look small in terms of the amount of money that they're spending on real property and companies and whatnot. You know, you must see that. The Americans seem to be declining in their investment in China, right? Maybe they're afraid of pure foods. Maybe they're afraid of, you know, the friction that we see once in a while between the two governments. Maybe they're afraid of the economy over there. But it seems to me they're not buying as much. The direction is more from west to east than east to west. Am I right?
well, we call it the foreign direct investment going to China. I mean, of course, out of those money, some are speculation money, you know, like buying real estate. When the US interest rate is almost zero. Okay, so when the Fed start raising rate, some of the people start pulling money out. You know, you see some money repatriate back to United States. Actually, the country that hurt the most are not China. They are the Brazil and the Turkey. They are in really deep kimchi right now because the foreign direct investment is pulling out. Because they don't have a strong US dollar reserve like China has, still have over 3 trillion, right?
Yeah.
And Turkey is almost like back in the 1997, 98 when the financial crisis hit. Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, South Korea, they all really took them to the cleaner. The only place that Soros didn't make money is in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong fight back. Hong Kong at that time have over 200 billion US in reserve. So as a Soros lost $1 billion in Hong Kong, but of course he make it up in the rest of the country. So it depends on your financial structure and whether you have a deep pocket to fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight back and make sure you can follow up and not let
So
anybody
China,
do
I
anything.
think they're okay. I mean, they are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're from Hong Kong.
I was originally born and raised in Hong Kong. Yes.
Do you speak Mandarin also?
Not as well, but I understand well.
Yeah. It's a language to learn. I recommend it.
Well, I can communicate, but not technical stuff. I mean, a general conversation, there's no problem. Mandarin, yeah. Please.
I remember going to a wedding in Hong Kong one time, and I met a whole bunch of people who were all, you know, raising money in Hong Kong from various investors and investing it in China. And they were doing gangbusters. They were doing great. They were buying all this stuff and making so much money. And they were the kind of the financial investment extension of China. That's what they did.
They still are.
And that's my question. That still is
They
the
still
case.
are.
Hong Kong is still the financial kind of connection for China.
If I remember correctly, last 2 out of 3 years, Hong Kong raised more money via IPO than London and New York. So Hong Kong has been #1, and I think last year Hong Kong was back into #1 again.
Yeah. Now the Chinese made Shanghai, as if to respond to this question, made Shanghai into a special trade zone where you would have benefits, and I think they wanted to generate the same kind of leverage for business in Shanghai as existed in Hong Kong. Did they succeed in that?
Eventually, but I would say not going to happen to be fully the way Hong Kong could operate for at least another 10 to 15 years. Because you always have the want to be, right? I want to be as rich as Bill Gates, or I want to be like Donald Trump. You want to be.
I don't want to be like Donald. I want to be clear about
but
that.
just-
And I
Maybe
think you
that's not a
probably
good
agree with
example.
me.
But China, the rule of law, the structure is still not in place yet. Okay, so now the RMB, the Chinese currency, is becoming convertible, and the Americans want the Chinese currency to be convertible because the Americans thought once it became convertible, the RMB will be shooting up the roof. And now it's going the other way. Now we as Americans complain against, how come, right? So we want the cake and eat too, right? So now, because with all the weak financial economy in Asia, then China actually trying very hard to keep the currency high. Yeah, because otherwise there will be a currency war. And China doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, stability above all.
China wants stability. China is not going out to pick a fight with anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else are,
Yeah.
but not China.
Not China,
Not
yeah.
China.
Well, I mean, there was the whole thing with the China stock market about, what, 4 months ago, maybe? That was really strange because what they revealed, which I didn't know, is they were trying to manipulate the stock market, like painting the grass green, There was a certain painting the grass green aspect to that, and instead of allowing it to be a truly free market. Is that still the case? Have the Chinese authorities learned to leave it alone?
I think the Chinese government tried to regulate the rise and fall of the capitalist stock market.
Hard to do that.
Now they found out it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's not too bad because in China, there's less than 12% of people in the stock market.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those are the housewife, the grandma, and they use that more like the Las Vegas table.
Day trading,
right?
yeah.
So even if all those people all lose all their money, China, if U.S. have the same problem, we have a big problem because in U.S. more than 45% of people are in the stock market,
Yeah.
pension money or that,
Sure.
right? So in that respect, I think China is learning. I mean, the people cannot use the stock market as a place to gamble. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
They should go to Macau for that.
They should go to Macau, but Macau also right now they regulate people going to Macau too. So
Not too bad. Well, let's talk about gambling for a minute. I mean, was it Sentosa Island in Singapore? Fabulous.
Yeah.
A lot of American money there in those hotels and casinos. And of course, Macau, unbelievable in Macau. Same interests, by the way,
Right,
competing for, what do you call it, floor space in the casinos.
Right.
And Chinese are coming to gamble because they like to gamble. It's an avocation. Is that working out? Is the Chinese government really behind that? Does it want that to happen? Is it trying to limit it? What is the process, the dynamic of all
you
that?
talk about Macau or Singapore?
Yeah, Sentosa
Singapore-
Island in Singapore. Yeah.
Singapore has to have casino because Singapore government never want to have casino. They changed their mind because they want to survive. They know they need casino.
Yeah.
I hope Hawaii will hear some of those logic someday.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Singapore government is very smart. They run the country like a business, and they're very focused. Okay. Macau hurt because of the corruption. Then the old day, I can work for the government and I control God knows how much money. I go to Macau and I use the money to, if I double my money, I keep the other half. If I don't, then somehow find a way to wash it away. So that kind of game is pretty much something of the past.
Yeah, because the Chinese look into that.
They look at-
They
Actually,
do
Chinese has
control
been
Macau
watching
after
for a long
it's part
time.
of China. Macau is part of China.
It's part of China. It's
so
like Hong
they
Kong,
can
one country, two systems.
investigate what. Although the people who run those casinos have got to be
But
on
Macau is
good
a
relations.
lot less sophisticated than Hong Kong.
Why is there no gambling in Hong Kong?
Oh, they have
Oh,
jockey club.
oh,
They have the lotto.
oh, the
And the good thing is, if you win the lotto in Hong Kong, it's tax-free. It's
Yeah.
not like America. You took half, the government took half it away.
That's
so
pretty good. Yeah,
It's good.
And this fabulous racetrack. I remember. What was it? Happy
Beautiful.
Valley. Happy
Two
Valley.
racetrack, one in the Happy Valley and one in the Sha-Tin.
That's gambling.
Next time go to Hong Kong, we take you there.
Next time I go with you.
Just small bet, $20.
That's Johnson Choi. You heard him say that we're going to Hong Kong together. He's the president of Hong Kong, China, Hawaii Chamber of Commerce. And we're talking today on ThinkTech Asia. We're talking about China and the two dragons, one of which is Hong Kong and the other is Taiwan.
Taiwan.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about Taiwan
Okay.
too. We'll
Okay.
be right back.
Aloha! Hello, my name is Patrick Bratton. I'm host at Global Connections here at ThinkTech Hawaii. We broadcast live every Thursday at 1 p.m. We bring Hawaii to the world and the world to Hawaii, talking about international events and various things of interest to the audience. Please join me. I look forward to talking with you and having you get to meet some of my guests. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Reg Baker, and I'm the host of Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. Business in Hawaii is a program that talks about the positive stories in Hawaii. We're tired of hearing all the negativity. We don't want to hear about all the downside. We want to hear positive stories about business in Hawaii, and that's what Business in Hawaii is all about. We broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock. Go to livestream.com for that live broadcast, and we also rebroadcast on Olelo 54 and OC 16. We look forward to seeing you on the show. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live with Johnson Choi. And I think one of the things I'd like to cover, which we discussed briefly during the break, is, the Chamber of Commerce, your Chamber of Commerce, and the kinds of deals and relationships you've been trying to build between Hawaii and Hong Kong, and China for that matter.
Yeah.
What do you got going?
We have actual member in Hong Kong, China, Singapore, Taiwan, and also in California. Because we are a little bit different. We don't want to be just another Chamber of Commerce, and then we are competing with each other. So anyone want to join us, I'm very friendly with them. If you want to do business strictly in Hawaii, go to join Chamber of Commerce Hawaii or China Chamber of Commerce. We are not right for you because we are not looking internally. We're looking to increase the pie so everybody get more. So that is our focus, and that's why we've been focusing in Asia and California.
So what kinds of deals, I mean, aside from real estate investment, just, talk about business. I remember you did some deals on technology, on filmmaking. What kind of deals do you like?
It will depend a lot of time. Actually, we do a lot of matchmaking, trying to match up with people with the same size. Hawaii, in a lot of time, has a difficult time matching up with the right size in China. The smaller size in Asia is too big for us. So we use Hawaii as a connecting point because everybody loves Hawaii. It's very friendly, you have the sunset and surf. So a lot of the old day, all the government officials like to pass through Hawaii, but increasingly less because they have to explain to the boss why they want to come to Hawaii when there's really nothing. No biscuit to pick.
Yeah. I remember when Linda Lingle was governor, Ted Lieu somehow managed to get Madam Wu. Madam Wu was like number 2 or 3 in the Politburo to come to Hawaii, and she came with about 50 people, and it was at Washington Place. It was a big deal, and she came and there was a party for her. She didn't spend any money here, no deals, nothing. Then they went to Seattle and spent billions on planes and all kinds of stuff they bought on the mainland. And it was really tragic that we had her here, but no deal of any kind.
If I'm Madam Wu, my intention is go to Seattle to sign some deal, make money, and you have this Johnson Choi come over here. We'd like to come to Hawaii, have a good time.
Sure.
I'm not going to pass it up.
Sure.
Right? And then we can write all kind of press releases to make things up and make it look great, right? So I still remember when Linda Lingle wanted to go to Hong Kong and ask the Hong Kong government to have a helicopter to tour Hong Kong.
Oh.
And Hong Kong government. Well, if it was China, they probably would say yes, because at that time was still not under Xi Jinping.
Right, they were trying to make connections, right?
But Hong Kong is very practical. They look at what you're going to bring to Hong Kong. Helicopter tour.
What are you doing here, yeah.
You spend your own money and you hire your helicopter, and the Hong Kong say no. And I know Linda Lingle was kind of pissed off.
There's smart people in Hong Kong.
Yeah, Singapore probably do the same. So that's why you don't see too many practical. There's no trade delegation going to Singapore, Hong Kong at all.
Yeah.
From Hawaii.
Yeah. But I remember now you sent around a flyer a few years ago for filmmakers, right? Filmmakers, there was money in Hong Kong.
That's good money.
For film. And if you
know
connected, say?
You know how good is the money?
No.
Hong Kong government will give you $3.5 million US to make a film in Hong Kong. If you know how to watch your budget, you can do it. All they require is half of the people has to be from Hong Kong. So Jay could be a producer, and I'm from Hong Kong, I'm the director. So that will 50-50, right?
Yeah.
And if I want actress in Hong Kong, one actor in Hawaii, and you can do a $3.5 million film in Hong Kong, US dollar, in not Hong Kong dollar.
Yeah.
So used to be only 750,000.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. The film, but it has to be made in Hong Kong.
So,
There's a lot of stories in Hong Kong.
There's a lot of stories. We have the most advanced movie studio in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
First class. Next time you go to Hong Kong, I'll take you there
Yeah,
too.
well, Hong Kong is really a snappy place. Lots of action, lots of
Lots of
sophistication.
action, lots of action, deal making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about that generation that was born, 25 years ago? Where are they going to take it? Where are they going to take the relationship between Hong Kong and mainland China?
Well, if I have the answer, I won't be sitting here. I think even the Hong Kong government and China is trying to find a solution, because when you have a whole generation of about 20% of the population completely disconnected with China. They thought they are from Hong Kong, and they are discontent, like a lot of young kids, even our kids.
Everywhere,
their
sure.
kids.
That's the world
They
we
don't
live
want to
in.
work hard.
Yeah.
They don't want to work for McDonald's.
Yeah.
If I work for McDonald's, if I get paid $50 an hour, that's fine, but they're not going to pay them $50. So they said they're not going to do it, and then the parent give them money, they play with the video game, and they fantasize about things.
Yeah.
And of course, there are also conspiracy theory that I'm not going to go into here.
Yeah.
That, that
Well, it
change.
remains to be seen how that's going to affect things. There's things, Hong Kong and China is in a dynamic.
It's
That
a
relationship is in a dynamic. And those riots haven't helped. I think China's been very smart to, sort of wait them out.
Oh,
The
China's
way-
waiting
it-
them out.
it-
China
it
is
has
not
a
going
long
to
plan on
muddle
this.
the water. See, if China starts to put a finger in, who will be the first one to complain? The American. China is going to be, and the
The
next
second one,
Britain,
the Europeans, right, exactly. We're in the
right? So
same
China
place.
not going to fall in that trap. Okay, you can try, but I'm not going to touch it.
Smart,
Smart.
really, really
They're
smart.
getting smart.
They come out
Very
ahead
smart.
on all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift now. We only have a few minutes left.
Okay.
What about Taiwan? You went to Taiwan
Taiwan.
also. What's it like today in 2016?
Taiwan is in a worse situation than Hong Kong, because one thing is Hong Kong has 7 million people, Taiwan has 21 million. Hong Kong has 8 universities, Taiwan has 300. Too many universities, too many college degrees, nobody get paid well,
Interesting.
right?
You can overdo education, eh?
And so politics, right? Republic of China versus People Republic of China. You have two different power struggles. It's not Republican and Democrat.
Yeah.
Do they love each other? No, they don't.
No.
Right? They say we are Chinese, but
Fighting
we-
all the time.
Right? So the constant rivalry. Unfortunately, Taiwan is such a tiny piece and doesn't have a lot of resources, and they tend to be on the short end of the stick. And the trade figure and everything has been down. People are not finding jobs. In fact, a lot of the smart people, there are about 1.5 million people from Taiwan now live in Shanghai. 1.5 million.
That's a lot of
out
people.
of 21 million.
Expatriates. And we're talking about living permanently, not just visiting.
Permanently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been clear that the Chinese do not obstruct the visits from Taiwan. They like doing business with Taiwan. They encourage people to come over as tourists or I guess to relocate permanently too. So there's something happening. Of course, there's all this, protest and what do you call it, positioning, posturing, right, about the independence issue. But the fact is they're getting closer, aren't they?
Not maybe, but not. Well, wait to be seen with the new president going to be sworn in on May the 20th.
In
Because
Taiwan.
her political platform, the party platform, is to be independent. That's how they set that political party, the Chen Shui-bian, and then that party. So if they stick to the independent platform and try not to be more, working with each other type platform, then there will be big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will have to wait to see.
What about, it seems to me there's got to be many factors at play why Taiwan seems to be on the decline. And one of them has to be that the U.S. has not put as much juice on Taiwan as it used to put. It seems to me that, the U.S. is preoccupied with other places in Asia, and Taiwan is less important to foreign policy. Am I right about that?
U.S. never 100% trusted Taiwan. The old days when Taiwan escaped from mainland China to Taiwan,
Yeah.
even every gallon of gasoline, the U.S. government keep track of. Okay, today they will not want to transfer a lot of technology to Taiwan because they don't know when one day Taiwan and China may be united. Okay,
One way or the other, yeah.
But Taiwan serve our purpose. to be just like Japan and Philippines.
Buffer.
We use them to play the dirty games. You know, to send out the small dog first before the big giant gorilla come in the American.
Yeah.
So that's what Taiwan, but Taiwan is a little bit more resistant than Japan and Philippines, which they are more cooperative. So Taiwan has to be very careful how they
Yeah,
you know,
it's
walk.
more difficult for them now,
More
I think.
difficult. But most of the business are now in big business. People have connection in China, and China pay well. So you talk about Hawaii bling drain. If China want to hire all your best people away, China have so much money. If you pay Jay 200,000 US a year, I will pay you 500. Come work in China. Most people will go,
Sure,
right?
sure. And you know, I mean, there are a lot of good, I mean, just setting aside the question of pollution and all that, it's not a bad life. There's a lot of consumer goods over there, a lot of great places to spend that money. You can have a quality of life.
Pollution, see, media like to focus on the bad things, right? They focus in Beijing,
Yeah.
Shanghai, right?
Yeah.
So when I go to the three small cities, no pollution. In fact, you see the biggest investor in those cities are from Taiwan and South Korea. Because those cities right off Shandong, right off South Korea. One of the cities called Yanqing is like Salt Lake City, if you translate in Chinese. Before the South Korea come in and invest the Kia, they built 800,000 Kia in that city. Every Kia they build, the local government get about 10,000 RMB, which is about 1,500.
What's a Kia?
Kia, the South Korean car, like Honda.
Oh, yeah, okay,
the
okay.
Kia.
All right.
So before they drive up enough traffic from South Korea, so the city government paid Korean airline. Each time you fly over, I give you 100,000 RMB, which is about 15,000 US.
It's an
But that's a
encouragement.
short flight. That's the flight like an hour flight, or maybe hour and a half flight. So they subsidize every flight you come in. I mean, if Hawaii, say, some of the place they don't fly people in,
Yeah.
you subsidize them.
Yeah.
Then the airline doesn't lose money, and they fly. And then after a while, they don't need the subsidy anymore because the Korean,
Sure. That's the way it's supposed to work, yeah?
but we said we cannot do that.
Yeah, yeah, oh, too bad. What about the future of Hawaii and Taiwan? Do you think there's business opportunities? I'm sure you looked at that when you traveled. Are there investments that Americans can make? Are the Taiwanese buying those condos in Kaka'ako? What's the connection lately?
The Taiwan actually have been, the first group of Chinese I worked with was from Hong Kong and then from Taiwan, because before China opened up back in the 80s, Taiwan was so poor. But the Taiwan, starts at first smuggle out the money, and then eventually the foreign currency exchange opened up, right? They were in Hawaii in a big number. But then when China start open up, and then when our big five start moving away, or the Dillingham or the Castle and Cove start shutting down, they start migrating to California, or they move back to Asia. The credit card machine you slide over. I still remember one of the founder, I.S. Chan. I met him back in the early 80s. He started his small little thing in Copper Lake side, Ever side. Eventually, he sold it off and moved away back to Taiwan. So I would say Taiwan investment in Hawaii will be very limited. Just like only Hawaii cater to a certain group of people. You're wealthy, you're very rich, then you come to Hawaii. But if you are still in the prime of your life, and you want to do some business, unless you buy, you don't want to have a restaurant, right? So what else you can buy, right? A lot of stuff are military stuff, so if you're a foreign national, you cannot touch it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult, challenging.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good that you make these trips, good that you stay connected, and good that you come to ThinkTech and tell us about it. I really like to have you back on a regular basis, Johnson. I think you are an important connector person for Hawaii.
We try.
Yeah.
We try.
Johnson Choi, Hong Kong, China, Hawaii Chamber of Commerce, here on ThinkTech Asia. China and the two dragons. What an interesting discussion. Thank you, Johnson.
Thank you, Jay.
Xie xie.
谢谢。